Bulldog Talk on the Edge.
I'm your host, Malaysia Brown, and today I'm here with my co-host,
Raleigh Young and Landon Rutledge.
And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Issac Cooper. Mr. Cooper is the founder of IMC Financial Freedom Project. Mr. Cooper is also chairman of Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Mr. Cooper has a great partnership with Birmingham City Schools where he teaches students and parents about budgeting, wealth, and credit. Thank you for coming today, Mr. Cooper.
So excited to be here. That was the coolest intro I've been around. I've been on a lot of podcasts with a lot of people. I'm probably most excited about this one, so love to talk to you all about some money. So thank you for that. Thank you for the intro.
Let's get to the questions. Malaysia.
Mr. Cooper, what made you want to teach kids about money and finance?
That's a good question. So, what got me into the financial industry, so I actually got to Birmingham through a football scholarship. So I played football. I played football at Sanford University. So if it was up to me, I'll still be, playing ball in the NFL. My roommate went to the NFL. My suite mate went to the NFL. And so when I needed to start thinking about what is life going to be like for me, how am I going to be able to help people, one thing I've always been comfortable with is numbers. Like, I've always liked math. Math was something that was actually cool for me. One, because I could always do it in my head. And over time, I ended up getting a job in the financial industry, right, to where now I got to wear ties and stuff, put suits on, and I'm talking to people about money. And the more I learned about money, the more I learned how much information of money only came to people that had money. And so over time, we started to see what was needed in the community when it pertains to how money is learned. And we saw that there wasn't a lot of information being provided in school. So our team came together and we put together a pretty incredible program. And now we've been able to almost complete year 2 with Birmingham City Schools. And the more that we see kids understand about money, the better off we also see in the community as well.
Okay, so I got a side question. How did you feel when you first started getting into the financial business? How did you feel?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. Man, I really didn't. I had an issue with my identity, to be honest. Like, I really wanted to be a football player. And the fact that people didn't know me as Isaac the football player anymore, my feelings were a bit torn. Now, once I learned more about what you can do in the financial industry and the different people you can help, because I actually got a meeting later on today with an NFL player. So I still meet with NBA players. I still meet with coaches. I'm still in the industry. Now I'm just able to help them in a different way. And so when I first got into it, I was really trying to figure out how I can help people in a way that allow me to be excited afterwards. But it also kept me close to the game and the place of sports. So it's definitely gotten better and evolved, and now the feelings I can't even put into words.
Mr. Cooper, that was a very interesting, what you said was very interesting. But for my question, I wanted to ask, what was your biggest money mistake when you were our age, and what did you learn from it?
Money mistake when I was your age. Let me ask you this question. How old are you all? Tell me that.
We're all 12, really.
12 years old. Now, tell me your relationship with money right now. What are the things you're doing with money? Are you making money? You babysitting, cutting grass? Tell me what's going on.
Well, you see, I do chores, but I don't get allowance for it. And when I do get money, most of the time it's for Christmas or for my birthday, or I got good grades or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Most of my money comes from my grandma's gardens because I help my grandma with her gardening.
Okay, that's good, Landon. What about you, Malaysia?
I have a weekly allowance for chores that I do around the house.
So weekly allowance. So we got money coming in through family members, and then we have chores that's getting done, and we're making some money. And then we have a weekly allowance, something that's coming in every week that you can depend on. So around that age, when I was your age, I was doing things not only around the house, but one thing that I actually learned from my brother, and y'all may not know much about this. Y'all know about CDs? Listening to music on CDs. I know that may be a little different now with iTunes and everything, but my older brother had a lot of music on a computer back home, and he used to burn CDs and put different songs and stuff together. So I saw him make money that way, and so that was, you know, because for me, I wanted to have my own money, right? And so over time, I would say probably by the time I got to the age 13, that's when I'm starting to do a little bit more hands-on work. I started working at Burger King when I was 14. So I would say the biggest thing that I wish I would have learned more about was the power of saving money. Not necessarily investing it yet, because you got to be able to save money to be able to invest it. So I was making money, but I wasn't necessarily saving it. I was spending it on anything that I felt like that was important. So I would say that was probably the one of the things that I wish I would have learned earlier is just building the habit of saving money.
Okay. The program covers a lot of things like budgeting, saving, and investing. Which one do you think is the most important for kids our age to learn?
That's really good. So when we're thinking about 12 years old, 13 years old, all right, we are in middle school. Now, do you all have Cash App?
Yes, sir.
My mama don't let me use it.
Okay, so we have some kids your age that may have access to Cash App, and then we have some kids your age that may not. So knowing that there is this world in which we have phones that gives us access to money, it is now much different than 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So some of the tips that you hear around what kids need to understand, or do we call them young adults? I don't know at what phase we share, but what kids need to understand when it pertains to money is starting to change a bit because of video games and technology. So what about Roblox? Any games like that where you have to purchase skins? Fortnite. So that requires money, right? So these things, this world that you are all in is very important. And so if you ask me, I think the most important aspect to learn about money at your age is budgeting. You want more skins? You got to know how much they cost. You got to know how much it takes, how much you need to make to be able to get as many skins as you would like. If you need to purchase something for school or for a sport that you're playing, understanding how much is coming in and how much is going out before it happens is very important. So let me ask you all a question. So I'm about to put you on the spot. So let's say I gave all three of you $20 each today. And I said, you got to take your best friend to the movie theater, but they don't have any money. Now, you're not going to the dollar movie theater. You got to go to the one where you can lean back and get, popcorn and everything brought to you, right? So let's say the movie ticket cost $9, okay? And I gave you all $20. You get up to the stand, you purchase your ticket, you purchase your best friend's ticket. They say, hey, I want to buy some popcorn. What's the answer?
I would say no, because for 2 tickets and each cost $9, that's already $18, I believe. So that means you only got $2, so you wouldn't even have enough, most likely. So.
So what did he just do? What did Rylan just do?
Rylan just saved this money from his friend, actually, because his friend was going to use it on stuff that he needs.
Very important, Landon. Very important. And what else did he do? There was a B word that he had to do to make sure he had enough money. What was that? He put together a budget. So one of the things that we'll see in life is that there are decisions that we're going to have to make, even as young as you are, to where you're going to have to think about the numbers before the event happens. You thought about going to the movies, spending money on popcorn before it even happened. That's the power of budgeting. Budgeting essentially says, let me think about the future, and then let me put some numbers to it, and then let me see if I have enough of those numbers that requires that future to happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So budgeting is always a go-to. The other thing I'll share is that, the athlete that I'm meeting with later on this afternoon, they probably made over $75 million. That's a lot of money. You know what we're going to talk about today?
Money.
And what else? Starts with a B.
Budgeting.
Budgeting. Same thing. So regardless how much money you make, knowing what your future or knowing what you want to get done in the future is important. And now you have to not only budget your money, you got to budget your time. And that'll be a part B to our conversation.
Okay. Landon?
Mr. Cooper, how can learning about money now help set us up for success later in life?
It's a really good question. You know, one of the unique things about money is that it is directly connected to life. So if you want to go to Six Flags, have any of y'all been to Six Flags before?
Yes, sir.
I haven't.
Haven't? All right. What about Disney World?
I haven't.
Disney World? All right, let's say we wanted to go to Disney World. What are some of the things that we need to do to get there?
Buy airplane tickets and
You need like a rental car.
Ticket, rental car, what else?
Money to get in.
Money to get in, that's right. That's exactly right. And guess hotel money. So now, would we enjoy going to Disney World? Do you think that would be a good time?
yes, sir.
Have a lot of fun, right? A lot of smiles. But this is the thing. If you don't have the money to get there, if you don't have the money to purchase the tickets, if you don't have the money to be able to purchase the food, sometimes you're not able to have the experience. And so there's certain things in life that we want to do and that we will do that money is required. And so when we think about life, we don't want to go through life saying, oh, we need money. No, money is just the way to be able to add color to it. So have you ever gotten a picture and it's in black and white and then you get some crayons and they say add some color to it?
Yes, sir.
So that's pretty much life. That's what money allows you to do. Life is what you see for yourself. That's that black and white picture. And then as you add that blue, the red, and the green, it gives life. It gives color to your life in a way that's different. So really, really good question there, Landon.
Malaysia.
Okay, Mr. Cooper. What is the coolest or most fun part about learning financial literacy?
I would say the what I love the most, what is the coolest, is that I get to have conversations with folks like yourself. I get to meet individuals that are moving through life in a way in which they're just trying to figure it out, and that is pretty much everybody in life. But I get to have conversations with folks that, if it's a dentist, if it's an attorney, if it's a firefighter, if it's an athlete, if it's the mayor, if it's the superintendent, I get to speak with everyone because financial literacy and money is a thing that everyone needs. And so what we've been able to do is provide it in a way in which one can not only understand it and apply it in their lives. And so what I love the most is that I get to meet really amazing people every day of the week.
Landon.
Well, that was an interesting part of our question.
Thanks,
But
brother.
for my question, we've learned about cryptocurrency in the program, but can you explain cryptocurrencies in a simpler way?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Cryptocurrency is a word that everyone is learning. I would say probably within the last 5 to 10 years. There's been a lot of information around it recently, but we've actually been living with those same features for a very long time. And so going back to my question for those that have Cash App. So with Cash App, are you able to send money and receive money?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, how does that happen?
That happens.
You have to like pay it or request it.
Okay. So that is a way. So whenever you request money, are you going inside a bank?
No.
Okay. Are you using your phone?
Yes.
Okay. And then you request a certain amount, you press a button, and then you walk away.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, whenever you receive the money, does it go into your pocket?
No. No, sir.
Is it some nickels and dimes and pennies?
No, sir.
No, not really. So it is the internet's version of money, right? So when you think about how money can move back and forth, the difference with what is happening now is that they are just removing the bank, taking the bank out the way. And so there's probably more bad information out there around cryptocurrency. if anything, you could look at Bitcoin as the one you need to be thinking about. All these other cryptocurrencies are pretty much projects. You and I, everyone here at this table, we can create a cryptocurrency coin, and we can name it the Southampton Bulldog coin in 5 minutes. Literally. We can have our own logo. It'd be nice. And that's actually something we could do and make it a reality. But ultimately, it is a form of money that is being transferred through the internet.
So, I got a side question before I ask my actual question. So,
Let's do it.
So how do you feel about money changing in different ways these days?
So that's an excellent question. That's a good question, huh?
He took my question.
That was your question. Oh, that was good. So money is definitely changing. And let's do a quick history lesson. So one of the benefits of the U.S. dollar. So, if you got cash, $1 bill, $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, one of the ways in which you knew the value of the dollar is that it was backed up by something, right? And so, who in here is like J's or Jordans or?
Me.
Can you tell if shoes are real or not?
Yes.
Right. So, and typically if the shoes are real, they usually cost more money. Okay. So with the dollar, $5, $10, $20, it was backed up by this thing called gold. Now, is gold valuable?
Yes, sir.
Very valuable, right? And so gold was the thing that say, all right, this is why this piece of paper with green on it with this guy's face on it is very valuable. That's what backed it up. Back in the day, before we had dollars and coins, $100 bills, it was actually gold. And so what happened is, you know how we can use the internet to send money fast? If I needed to pay Landon or Malaysia for some shoes, I would have to chisel off a piece of gold. That'd take a long time, huh?
Yes, sir.
So over time, they said, all right, we got to find a better way to make it so we can divide it. And so there are features of money that we can quickly go through. But one of the features of money is that it has to be divisible. You got to be able to divide it. That's why we have pennies, nickels, dimes. We can break it down into different ways. And so with gold, it was so heavy. And if I needed to travel 10 miles with it to go pay for some shoes, it made it very difficult. Okay, so it changed into, all right, what is another way in which we can pay? That's when coins came. So over time, you're going to go through a history lesson where you learn about Caesar, this person called Caesar. He had his face on the coin to really dictate with the value of it because they could move it back and forth. And then over time, your parents, they were able to establish bank accounts, and I'm trying to pull mine out as we speak about it. Say, all right, we have pennies and dollars, but I want to be able to put it on a card, right? And before the card shifted to where you can use the chip or tap, right? Like this, you had to swipe it. So money has been changing over time to where you swipe, now you use a tap, and now you can use your wrist. You can use your phone and pay for things. And so the good thing is that it is making it easier to be able to save money, spend money, probably more so easier to spend money. The bad thing about it is that it gives people different ways to be able to take your money. So if it's on the internet now, anything in which, if you use the same password all the time, that may be, yeah. Right? And so anything on the internet, that's a lot easier for someone to be able to get access to. But that's an excellent question.
And I can understand it because my mama, she always orders stuff offline, and she done got hacked 2 or 3 times in the last year. So
Yep, and it's happened to me. It's definitely happened to me to where, and it was a good amount of money they almost tried to get, and so that's probably the biggest difference with your generation and what you are working through is that everything is happening online, which means if someone can get access to what you're looking at, then ultimately, they got access to you. Good question.
okay, so what advice would you give to a student who has a hard time saving money or sticking to a budget?
I would let them know So I believe, so my man Landon here, for those that will not be able to see the video version, he got into I guess during a football game.
Well, it was just outside playing football because everybody knows when we go outside, it's football time.
Okay. So whenever we go outside, it's football time. So you got to sling, right? And so, and one of the things that happen in life, and then as you make decisions in life, is that you got to be able to do something consistently. So for those that play sports, and this is why I brought up Landon in football, habits is very important. If you want to build muscle, you got to do push-ups at least every day. See, I said that at least every day. Have you heard someone say, man, that was an overnight success? Do you know what that means?
Like when you make like a video or something and it goes viral overnight.
That's a great feedback, great response, and that's exactly right. When something happens in one day and then overnight the whole world learns about it. You all have been doing interviews for how long now? We'll just say...
This is my first day.
Yeah, about a year. So we got a year, and then first day for new interviewees, right? But let's say the 33rd interview goes viral. They're going to say, man, they went viral overnight. You're going to say, no, that was actually 32 interviews in. And so one of the things about saving and investing is that it's the work that nobody sees. They shouldn't see it. The biggest issue with money now is that people use money for other people to see it. They go buy clothes for other people to see it. They go buy shoes and cars for other people to see it. And it's really the opposite. Like the things that I love the most about life, I love traveling. I love experiences. I got a dusty, busty Tahoe out there. Can I get something? Oh, absolutely. I ain't worried about that. Hey, does it crank? Yes. Can I get from A to B? Absolutely. Is it paid off? Yes. That means I get to go buy land with my money, which I just did. Which means I get to go buy more property with my money, which we just did, right? And so there's different investments that you can make when you know that you are most important versus what other people think. Great question.
A little side question.
Let's do it.
So, what investments do you put in? Well, what kind of what kind of companies do you invest in, or whatever you do?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's a good question. And let's jump into this. What would y'all consider as an investment?
Like paying money into new shoes, or paying money so you can get better clothes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Into a small business.
Okay, put money into a small business. Another excellent answer. Anything else?
Putting money into, putting money. I guess I don't have another one.
Well, no, and those are good. Those are good. So the first thing when you think about money or specifically investing is that you first got to have money, right? And so that's step one. We got to have some money to invest. Then the second thing to think about, especially as you think about investing, is when do I want to have access to this money? Because investing is great, but you got to understand that means that you're putting it somewhere to where you're not going to be able to touch it, or you shouldn't want to touch it because it's growing. So I want you all to imagine we are on the top of a snow mountain. So we're on the top of a mountain. Snow is everywhere. And I say, okay, Ryland, Landon, Malaysia, at the top of the mountain, I want you to form a small snowball. You form your snowball, you put it down, and I walk halfway down the mountain, and I put together the biggest snowball that I can. And I said, okay, Ryland, Landon, Malaysia, toss your snowball down the mountain, and as it goes down the mountain, is your snowball going to keep getting bigger?
Yes.
It could, yes.
Yeah, and it's gonna go down the mountain faster and faster because it's at the top of the mountain. Even though I started halfway down the mountain with my snowball, whose snowball is gonna get bigger? Yours or mine?
Yours.
No, yours is. Yours is. And the reason why is that you had more time. And so investing is less about something that, all right, I put money in here and I got it out 3 days later and I made this amount. It's more about that snowball we just talked about. Forming your snowball early at the top of the mountain, letting it go down the mountain, and then as it goes down, it accumulates snow. But do you got to keep pushing your snowball? No. Now it's not. Yeah, exactly. Now you're making. That's when you hear people say they make money in their sleep. That's what that means. It's moving without them having to do anything. So when you think about investments in companies, what are some companies? What shoes do you wear now?
I got on some Air Jordans.
Air Jordan.
I own Jordan.
Nike. Okay. Who owns Jordans?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm on Jordan.
Interesting. You know who owns Jordans? Nike.
Nike.
Yep.
Wait, what?
I just thought they always collab. I didn't know they actually. Well,
No, they own. Own it. Owners. That's ours. Now Jordan has a brand, but that's Nike owns that. So when we think about companies to invest in, now does Jordan making a lot of money?
Yes.
Wearing J's. I just golfed yesterday in some Jordans. So when you think about a company you would want to invest in, knowing that Nike owns Jordan, would Nike be one of the companies you would want to invest in?
Yes.
Exactly. So a good way to start is to look at, what do I buy? Look in the house, look in your room, and see, okay, if I'm buying these companies, there's other people that's buying these companies. I wonder if I can buy stock. So when you think about investing, stock ultimately is a piece of a company, a share of a company. It's like a big old box of pizza. All right, you get 2 pieces, you get 2 pieces. So a company is like a pizza, and they'll let you know, all right, you get 1 pepperoni. You ain't gonna get a whole slice, you just gonna get 1 pepperoni. But you get a piece of the pizza in some form of fashion. So I would always start with companies that you are familiar with, because investing is more about knowing about the company instead of investing in the company, right? Because once you know about the company, you'll know what to do. Great question.
So I got a side question.
Let's do it.
Say like if the company they start to like lose money and stuff like that, what happens then?
That's a great, probably this question here is what most adults need to be asking and thinking about whenever they invest. Because whenever you invest money, there is this thing called value, right? So if you invest $10, the value is going to dictate how much it is worth at that day. That $10 could be worth $8 tomorrow. It could be worth $12 2 days from now. So if the value goes down, your money is still invested, right? So if you say, all right, I'm going to invest $100, but if I need this $100 to eat next week, is it good to invest that money?
No.
Boom. That is the biggest issue people walk into. They don't figure out how much they can invest, regardless if the value goes up or down. So if the value is down, you don't have to make a decision, because we already determined that investing is for long term, right? So just like that snowball at the top of the mountain, you just formed the snowball, you just started. So you don't want to cut into that snowball while it's accumulating, while it's building more snow. So if the value goes down, the good thing about investing is that you don't lose any money. The only time you lose money is when you pull your snowball out, right? And so the good thing about investing is that, and the one thing that you're always going to want to know is, whenever I invest, when am I going to want to have access to this money? And if it's for down the road, whenever I'm 15, whenever I'm 20, whenever I'm 25, we just have to be aware of the best way to get to your snowball down that mountain, to make sure that there isn't any trees or mountains and stuff like that in the way.
Well, I got 2 more side questions.
Come on with it.
My first side question is, okay, say like another company joins the company you invested in.
Okay.
And then my second question is, so say like the company you invested in, if, like when you invest in a company, do that mean you are like not exactly a part of the company, but you like what you are to that company?
That's a great question. So the first question, excellent question, Rollin. So the first question Rollin talked about is when companies come together. And so in the corporate world, they like to call that mergers and acquisitions. And so, to your point, a company like Nike could partner with a company like Adidas, and now they share things. And so, whenever they come together, there's usually a conversation on, all right, well, how much does it cost to run your company? How much do you pay your employees? How much does it cost for your products and your shoelaces? And let's see if there's a better way to do business. So whenever they come together, if you're invested into one of those companies, usually there is going to be some ups and downs, right? Like, because people are trying to figure out how well they work together. So it's kind of like a basketball team. Let's say LeBron went to another team. Let's say John Morant went to another team. I know. We don't want John to go to another. But let's say John Morant goes to another team. We're not going to know how he's going to perform yet. So the value of the team is going to be up and down until we can see it in action, right? And so if two companies come together, there's still that question of how well is this going to go. Your second question was, remind me your second question.
So like when you
Oh,
invest
yeah.
in a company,
Yep.
like how do it like what are you in that company? Like are you like a part of the company some way, or are you just like you just invested in it but you're still not nothing really to the company?
It's a good question. And so the answer is yes, you are part of the company. So whenever you invest in a company, there's certain information you get access to. One, there's information that's already online. So imagine running your own company, and then you have to share all your numbers. Hey, this is how much money we made today. This is how much money went out. This is how much we're going to pay in taxes. This is what we're going to do for the future. All that information, once you invest, you get access to that information. Also, there are certain meetings that you get access to be able to even make decisions. Like you have the ability to vote, right, on decisions that's happening. Now, the more money you invest with the company, the louder your voice is, right? So if you're like, yeah, man, I put $3 in, they're like, yeah, you can still have access to it, but you can't tell me what to do, you know. And so, but you are an owner in the company, like you are a shareholder ultimately, and so. It's a big deal because as the company increases in value, that means that piece of the company that you purchase, that piece increases in value. So now there isn't, you know, you're not going to get any balloons or anything once you purchase your stock, but they are going to treat you like an owner and make sure that you have access to all the information.
So what if like they cut you off? Do they give you your money, however much money you invested in, do they give it back, or do they just keep it and you just cut off?
That's a good question. So let's say the company does not go well, to your point. Like let's say that there is a performance issue, or let's say that they run out of product and they can't make money anymore. And the money that you invested in that company, the value is starting to go down because they're not making any money. Usually once you invest, there is going to be information that is going to let you know that you may not want to keep investing in that company, right? And so if Nike comes out saying the sales are down, you're going to start asking questions. Why are the sales down? What's going on? If it comes out that, you know, the quality of the sneakers and the shoes were made in a different area than it says on the shoe, now you don't know if you can trust the leadership, so you may want to take some of your money out because they're not making good, sound decisions. But if they ended up, you know, filing bankruptcy, or if they run out of money and you got money invested, that's pretty much it. You know, that's one of the things about investing is that, as we talked about, the value can go up or down. And the one thing about investing, which is the term that you'll hear, you know, from now until you're 1,000 years old, is that there is a level of risk that comes with it. And depending upon what you are investing in is going to dictate how much risk you could incur or that you can take. So just got to be mindful. You always want to make sure you're investing in good companies.
Okay, Malaysia.
So, Mr. Cooper, how do you make lessons about taxes or debt interesting for middle school students like us?
All right, that's a good question. How do we make topics like taxes and debt interesting to middle school students? So, question that I have for you all: do you know what a pay stub is?
I don't
Check stuff is.
Check
I
stub.
don't
is?
recall knowing about pay
I
stub.
don't know not one part about it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna throw another question. Do you know the difference between gross income and net income?
No.
Oh, that's perfect. All right. So let's say everybody in here got paid $500 today. All right, $500. So yeah, it sounds good, don't it? All right. So that is going to be your gross income, GROSS income. Now that you get paid $500, there is this person that comes around, and we're going to name them taxes. And they're going to walk up to you and say, hey, good job. You did a really good job making money. That $500, man, so proud of you. Now I need my cut. And their cut is $150. So now that net income is $350. So gross income is the money you earned. You earned that money. I went to work. I got paid money for cutting grass, and they said that they were going to pay me $50 an hour. I worked for 10 hours, and that's $500. But one of the things about whenever you work and you have to pay taxes is that that money you made, you got to pay the government. All right? Now, does that feel good? No, I don't like that.
Cause it's cutting out your money.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
They didn't do nothing to earn that money. You earned that money yourself, so why would you have to give it to them?
And these are really good questions, right? So now let's talk about what did they do with that money, that $150? Would you want to know what they do with the $150? Like, are you taking the $150?
Definitely.
Right. That's exactly right. So in class, that's what not only we talk about, but we do it in a different way. I'll hand everyone $500. Like, here's 5 $100 bills. Everybody in the class. Now, the good thing is it looks like a $100 bill, but we got play money. They don't know that at the time. And what we'll do is we'll tell them to put together a budget. Here's $500. Put together a budget of what you're going to do with the money. And then after they put together the budget, we come by and say, oh, yeah, we forgot to tell you. We got to take taxes out. And so now they budgeted with $500, didn't account for taxes, and then it throws off their ability to be able to make decisions. The other way in which we make it fun is that it's all activities, games. So, like, have you played a simulator where it feels like you're in the game?
Yes, sir.
We do that as well. So even if we talk about going to the grocery store, we're going to put you in a simulator to where you turn around and make it seem like you're in a grocery store. Like, okay. So we find the best ways to make it interactive, engaging, and then we, again, a ton of activities, ton of games, because it's real life.
Okay, so I got a side question. This not about this question, but it's about money. So like, how did taxes change over the years? Cause I know now it's like $9 a dollar. No, it's 9 cents on a dollar for tax. So how did it change throughout the years?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And this is why I love talking to you all about money. Taxes is a taxes play a very important role in our financial journey. And this is why in class you may hear why it's important to vote. So voting really helps you know how your money is going to flow. So it's we can get into a lot of stories about that. And so taxes do change. And so this is why it's important that we got to have a budget. And this is why whenever people say save your money for an emergency, emergencies are definitely going to come up. Now, if something changes in taxes in which it turns into an emergency for you, then we got to think about how much money you're saving. But yes, taxes change. Let's talk about this term really quick. Have y'all heard about this word called inflation?
Yes. I don't know what it is, but I heard a lot of people say it around me.
Yeah. So inflation, let's think about this. Do you go to like Wendy's, McDonald's, the dollar menu?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you usually get that's on the dollar menu? Okay, nuggets. What now? You getting a 10-piece? 10 pieces is on the dollar menu? How many pieces we getting?
6
Yeah, I said okay.
6.
Okay. Now, has there been something on the dollar menu that you got probably last year or the year before that's no longer on the dollar menu?
It's,
Like what?
it was like a hamburger, I believe, at McDonald's. It was a hamburger.
Yep.
But they took it off.
Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive now, right?
Yes.
So the same thing that you were eating now has a different price. Nothing changed, right? Doesn't come with wheels. Doesn't come with a toothbrush. It's the same sandwich. That's a representation of inflation. Inflation ultimately means that the cost in the goods or the services that you're receiving is increasing in price. So there's times in which I may go get something to eat, and I may have paid $7, and now I walk in and get that same meal, and now I'm paying $9. Wait a minute. What just happened? And so that's why it's important to understand these different terms, and inflation is one of them because it is eating into that value of that dollar, right? It's eating into the value of your money. So it's a really good question.
I have a side question.
Let's do it.
So, did we already talk about why do they take the tax? Tax us? Did we already
I
talk
don't
about
think
that?
so. So what do you think the government does with the money? So whenever they take taxes out, what do you think they do?
I think they use it for construction workers so they can build buildings and fix buildings and stuff like that, and they pay people that work for the government and stuff like that.
That's an excellent answer. Y'all want to add to that?
I want to.
Yes.
Well, my mom told me about the Republicans and the Democrats,
Mm-hmm.
and she was telling me how people that pay taxes are I think Republicans because they don't want to have to pay their money to give to other people because Democrats believe in food stamps and things like that.
Ooh, man, y'all need to run for office. This is a really good response. Do you want to add to it on what you think? And that's really good. I'm more grateful that you and mom are having these types of conversations at home. So shout out to mom on that.
Well, at first, I really did think that they use taxes for the government to tip the other people and stuff. For instance, at Family Dollar, I bought me. He remember I bought them big bag of Skittles and brought them to school, and so I thought and then I got taxed. It was about I don't know. I spent $20 or something.
It did not cost $20.
No, I had a drink and a lot of stuff. So it cost $20-ish.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just gonna make up some sense to make it make sense a little bit. 27 cents, let's say.
Okay.
I thought they took that tax and then they gave it to the people for a tip. That's what I thought.
Wow, this is good. And you know what is interesting is that you are all correct. So there is city taxes, there's county taxes, there's sales taxes, right? Whenever you buy something, there's a sales tax. There's all these different types of taxes. So to your first question, taxes ultimately pay for government resources. So just as you mentioned, anyone that may work for the government, that is how they get paid. Well, who are some examples? Firefighters, police officers, right? So these just very quick examples, even different hospitals, right, in which you walk into. There's a lot of support that is provided by the government in which taxes are provided, just as you mentioned, even all the way down to food stamps. to paving the roads, right? Like, all right, we got someone out here paving the roads. That's why there's times in which people will see the mayor and be like, hey, Mayor, wait, I got this pothole on my street, man. I need y'all to do something about that, right? So you can go to government representatives to see if that is in the budget, right? Going back into the budget, right? Let's make sure that they have that as a priority. Also, when you think about the flow of money, there are, to Malaysia's point, different parties in which they're reflected as either Democrat or Republican, and there's others Libertarian, that have different, we'll just say, thinkings or examples or solutions when it pertains to how they think the country should be ran. There's one side that feels like there should be less government involved, and so they don't want as much taxes, as much of their money going towards taxes. Now, I don't like taxes either. Hey, get your hand out my pocket. That's my money. Just like you said earlier, I earned that. Hey, we got a problem. And especially if you're not, effective with it. But there's also people that need help, right? There's folks that need support. There is actually a role in which the government did play in probably providing some of those issues. Probably they did. So there is a number of ways in which the government, in which taxes benefit us. But also when you know that the taxes come out of your pocket, then you're going to be very interested on like, all right, well, I want to have a say-so on how these resources and these benefits are provided. So really good question. Great question.
I got another side question. So I got a question. So like basically, why don't they show the actual price instead of just saying like the price without the taxes? Why don't they just say this is exactly what it costs plus tax?
And there's different, and we like to call those receipts, right? So whenever you look at the receipt, I want to be able to see the breakdown of my money. Just like if you go to a restaurant, you say, all right, I want to get this, I want to get that. And if they just come back with how much it like the full amount, and there's no breakdown, like, hold on. I said 2 Sprites, you got 3 here, right? I want to see what the specific number is. Usually there is some type of breakdown in regards of like how taxes are being spent, because they have to share that information. Is it accurate? I'm not too, it's not. That's the one thing about numbers. Hopefully they don't have an eraser over there and they're writing in pen. But the question you're asking, I think, is a really good question in a way to live life, which is to be transparent, right? You want to make sure that in any form of fashion, especially if you got anything to do with money, get as many details as possible. Anyone that works with our company, and we got close to about 11 to 12 employees, anytime I am paying for their work, they have to be very detailed exactly on what they got done for us, because that is money going out and we got to know where it's going. And so it sounds like there is somebody's going to be running for office one day, so we're going to remember this interview.
Okay, so if you could go back and give one piece of money advice to your middle school self, what would it be?
Get a bank account. I was working early, y'all. I got a confession. I lied on the application at Burger King and said I was 14. I was really 13. I lied. I said 88. It was 89. Yeah.
So you could whatever year you was born in, you could have worked at 13.
No, I couldn't have. No, only at 14. And then and so they have this thing called child labor laws where there is rules based off of how old you are on how long you can work, what you can do. So in Florida, where I grew up, I worked at Burger King when I was 14 years old, and I was pretty much a manager at 15. Like it was definitely a way of life. So if there's anything that I would recommend, just even at that time, I didn't have a bank account, and I didn't know about including my parents in establishing a bank account, because if I would have a bank account, I would have been able to start saving some money in a better way.
So I got a side question. In your opinion, where's the quickest way to make money?
Ooh, the quickest way to make money. I'm gonna give two responses. I'm gonna give the best way to make money, and then I'm gonna give the quickest way to make money. Then I'm gonna give the best way to make money. The quickest way to make money.
Excuse me for this brief announcement. We have a DoorDash up front. We have a DoorDash order up front.
I would say the quickest way to make money is to do something someone else told you to do. Just that simple. Hey, go cut the grass. All right, cool. $20. Hey, babysit. All right, cool. I can do that. The best way to make money is to find a problem in life and build a solution, and then people pay you for that solution. Then that's going to outlive you. It'll be quick. It'll be slow. But it's yours. And it's tied to something that you're going to want to do for the rest of your life.
So I got a side question. This kind of is like a question from question before
Okay.
I ask my question. So basically, like, if say like somebody like if they tried to make that like okay, so say like somebody tried to like go. Okay, yeah. So say like somebody tried to go and like tell the government there's I don't want 9 cents on a dollar for taxes. If they like say if they want like $1 cent on a dollar for taxes, like what would the financial part be of that?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So let's say you don't agree with how much you're being taxed, and you're saying, you charging me 9 cents on a dollar. I want it to be, 1 penny of the dollar. Before a change like that can be accepted, there is a process it has to go through. So it's kind of like, and do you play sports? Y'all play football, right?
I play baseball and football.
Baseball and football. So think about what would need to happen if you said, hey, coach, I don't want a second base anymore. I just want first and third base. Take the second base out. Do you think that would be an easy change?
No, because you would have to agree with every single team and with the people that own like sports and stuff like that. You would have to agree with them. You would have to make an agreement with them, and if they don't agree, you just can't do it.
Boom. That's exactly right. So you have to get enough people to agree that the taxes need to go to 1 cent. And then this is the next part that's going to be, this is where you make your money. And this is why. Pretty much saying, hey, government, I want you to receive less money. Imagine going to a company and saying, hey, you're making too much money. I want you to make less. And walk away. I'm like, what? I got employees to pay. And so, but the why is going to dictate. But that's an excellent question. So, but the biggest thing is that you got to get people to agree. And that's the beauty of politics and taxes is that, if you got a message that is necessary, that can help people, like lowering taxes. You get enough people to agree, it could actually happen.
So, Mr. Cooper, I have 2 additional questions. What's one of your financial habits you wish you started at our age? And can Cash App be a good bank to save, to invest in and save, like use money to save?
That's a good 2 great questions. So I think, I'm gonna double down on the savings because I'm telling you, I made some good money when I was young. Like I was making some really good money. I had multiple jobs. I was playing sports too. I remember going into the 9th grade, leaving football practice, like putting on my Burger King clothes and walking to work and I was making some good money. But also, I was paying for my own cell phone. I was paying for my own bill. Like I was paying for my own things at that particular time. So I wasn't saving much. So I wished I saved more money. Now to your second question in regards to Cash App. So we all are aware that there's a lot of crime that does happen on Cash App as well. Like people get scammed. Like we've seen that.
Yes, sir.
But also that happens with cash too, right? Like there's crime and criminal behavior that happens with every form of money. Can you give me some examples of a bank?
Wells Fargo,
Wells Fargo,
PNC,
PNC,
USAA.
okay, yep. Okay, let's keep going.
U.S. agencies, I think. No.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I think y'all in the same, like a Navy Federal Credit Union or something like that. Regions Bank, all right? So those are banks. What Cash App is, Cash App connects to banks to transfer money to people that is a representative of the bank, right? So that's just like, someone playing for the Cowboys and someone playing for the Lions. You can still send things to each other. You just got to connect the bank in which you work at. One of the unique things about Cash App versus a lot of these other platforms like Venmo or Zelle is that whenever your money is on Cash App's platform to where you can see, all right, I got $12, $20, it's actually connected to a bank. And it's called Sutton Bank, Sutton Bank, right? Sutton Bank. Now, have you seen Cash App building before? Have you been driving oh, y'all there? Hey, that's what Cash App is.
No, sir.
Yeah, me neither. And if you found one, let me know. Also Sutton Bank, and that's not a bank that we just talked about. So knowing that there isn't a bank that you can call, like if you ever had an issue on Cash App, who do you call? Right. So whenever you want to save money and invest money, you want to make sure it's somewhere in which you can speak to someone very quickly. And it's also with a bank or what the grown-ups like to call financial institutions. It's somewhere in which has a reputation. How would you define reputation?
Like the status you make of yourself and how people see you.
Absolutely. So you want to make sure the bank has a good reputation, because that's your money. So if you're like, hey, if someone does not have a good reputation with managing money, I don't want them holding mine. Okay. Exactly. So we always got to do our research. So that's an excellent question. Excellent. I love these side questions.
I got a few more side questions. One of my side questions is okay. So like with debit and credit, right? How do they clash with each other? And my next question is, so say like the bank my mama going through this now. Like the bank they saying she owe like $1,100 on her condo when her condo owned like $700. Like basically where's the process of them doing that? Cause she only late on her condo like by 3 or 2 days.
Right.
So like how do that yeah.
This is good. This is really good. All right, so we're gonna get into the car note last. Remind me the first question.
How do credit and debit?
Debit and credit. Yep. Perfect. So the debit and credit, and there's two ways. So I'm gonna check off the way if there's people that are accountants listening. So debit and credit is a way to see if money is going in or if money is going out, right? So debit means money going out, credit is money going in. So that's an accounting definition. So I'm just gonna move that out the way. Now the way in which you and I are about to talk about is debit cards and credit cards, right? So with the debit card, like this one here, this is a debit card. So this card is a debit card, and this card is a credit card. Only difference between the two is the numbers, the colors, right, and the little strip on the back. But it's still a plastic piece of equipment, right, to where money is located. Now with a debit card, in order for it to have money on it, you got to put money on it, right? So you got to put $5 in, or $10 in, $1,000 in, $1 million in. In order for money in order for you to use that card, you got to have money in the account, and you got to put the money there. Now with the credit card, so credit, there's a term that I want you to remember. Whenever you are using someone else's money, what word comes to mind? Do you need to what them?
pay them back.
Yeah, you got to pay them back, but it starts with a T. Second letter is a R.
Transfer.
Third letter is a U.
Trusting.
You need to trust them, right? So credit, whenever you use a credit card, you're using someone else's money. So if I need to use your money, you're going to want to make sure I have a good what? Reputation, just as you mentioned. So if I got a good reputation, that means that I can trust you or not, or you can trust me. So the way in which they figure out how much money that you can have access to is very similar to how school is, to where you get grades. All right, did I do well? I got a B. If I did very well, I get an A. So with credit, it's called a credit score. So it's a number. So the higher the number, the better. So the higher the number means, oh, you can really trust this person, right? So with debit and credit, and again, we're just going to speak about debit card and a credit card. Credit card is a representation on how much someone trusts you using their money. And that number is going to be based off of your credit score and then how much money you make in regards to income. Because whenever you use someone else's money, y'all said it as soon as I asked what the T word means, you got to pay it back, right? And so that information lets them know that you'll be able to pay them back. So debit and credit. Now with car notes. So knowing that you have to, so just as we talked about with paying other people back, sometimes if you don't pay them back on time, they can say, all right, we got a penalty. All right, there's a fine to this. And so unfortunately, let's say, something happens, there's an issue with, getting paid on time and you're not able to make the payment. Whoever you are buying the car from, they have different rules in which they can say, all right, I know you usually pay X amount, $700 a month, but this time it's going to be $850 this month because it's late. And if it's 10 minutes late, we're going to charge that amount. So that's why it's always good if you pay for something, or if you need something, it's good to be able to own it. Now, if you don't own it, you just got to be mindful of the rules of the person that does own it and just, abide by those rules.
Even though this near impossible, what if a bank run out of money and you got money in your account? Like, what if the bank run out of money? Then what happens to your money?
This is excellent questions. It's actually very possible, and it almost happened recently. And it's called a bank run. So a bank run ultimately speaks to exactly that, what you just said. What if more people are asking for the money? Like if say, all right, I want to go to the bank and I want to pull all my money out. What if everybody at the bank that has an account there did that at the same time? They're going to run out of money. And so it's called a bank run. Now, there is these letters that go together. It's called a FDIC. So FDIC stands for, and these are, not for you to remember, just remember these letters, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So FDIC says, if something were to happen at this bank, and let's say they run out of money, we will protect your account up to $250,000. So if you have $232,000 and the bank runs out of money, the government says, we got you. So going back to what taxes pay for. So that is a benefit through the government, right, that allows you to be able to say, if this bank runs out of money, my account, or which you can have more than one account that could be protected to up to $250,000. So you have up to $250,000 to be able to protect. So there's a way to protect you through the FDIC, but it is possible. It is possible. It is possible. Great question. I'm loving this.
So I have an additional thing to what Rylan said. I recently learned about like the Great Depression, and like the stock market crash, and like if there was to still have a stock market now, would it be possible for like them to find ways for it not to crash? Like, would they have enough money for like a bank like not to run out of money?
That's such a Caesar, bless you. These are such good questions. So just as you mentioned, back in the day, the Great Depression. Because this is, these are good. Y'all pulling it out. When you think about money and you think about a community, so we are in a community now in which, where's the nearest grocery store?
My nearest grocery store is like, it's basically Forestdale.
Okay.
My grocery store is basically in my neighborhood, really.
Okay.
There's grocery stores in Pratt.
In Prime. Okay. So if that grocery store shuts down, where do you go?
Well,
The next nearest one.
The nearest one. Now that may be in another town. You may have to go to downtown Birmingham. You may have to go to Hueytown. You may have to. We don't know where it is, but that dollar that you would usually spend in that neighborhood now is going somewhere else. Now follow me on this. So when people don't have money, are they usually spending it on the things that they do when they do have money? So if you don't have as much money as you usually do, are you going to keep spending it the same way you did?
Oh, no.
So if you had $10 a day and you got $5 tomorrow, you going to spend the same money? You going to spend it as if you had 10?
No.
Okay. So when there is less money, when people have less money, because one of the things that happened during the Great Depression is that folks didn't have jobs. Folks weren't working. So if you're not working, you don't have money, where are you going to spend money? So if you're not spending money, guess what? The people at those jobs don't have money to pay their employees. So if they can't pay their employees, so you see how when money stops, it impacts all the things that ultimately that could have value, and that leads to the value of companies on the stock market, right? And so there were different companies that actually did all right, during that time frame. But one thing about history, and you'll hear this as you grow up, is that history repeats itself. That actually happened again. I don't want to get too deep into what caused the 2008 crisis that was similar to, Great Depression type numbers in regards of economics. But unfortunately, there's a lot of greedy people in this world. And when greedy people make decisions that, that's not in the best interest of, we'll just say the community, everyone suffers, and that was actually a major part of what happened in the 2008 crisis. So it's probably going to happen again, but the more you know about money, what we're talking about now, when you really understand investing, that's actually the best opportunity to invest.
So, Mr. Cooper, before we wrap it all up, do you have any additional questions for us?
The question I have for you all is, tell me one or two things you learned today that you will be able to go back home and talk to your parents about.
That the government puts money into people that it work for and stuff like that.
Okay, all right.
The difference between gross and net income.
Okay, difference between gross and net income.
he just took my first one.
He took it again. Look, all right, you got to dig deep now.
Well, I guess some advice that that I'll tell my parents when I get home is that it is actually possible for I personally never thought banks can run out of money. Personally, I thought it was just like it was just spawned in.
Right.
And people just went there, put all their money in it, and then,
That's good.
because the reputation is actually, for the bank, some banks, the reputation is good, so most people trust them with their money, so they put most or probably 2/3 of their money into it.
That's exactly
So,
right.
and I thought I thought it would be really just impossible if it ran out of money. But you showed me today that it is possible.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that feels the same, adults as well. So these are really good takeaways. I'm grateful I was able to join you all on this podcast. So thank you for the invite. Great job.
Thank you so much for coming today. We hope that you had an amazing time on your.
I loved it. Thank you. I did.